Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So many of you in my messages keep asking, when are you bringing Angie back? And I'm so happy today that I have Angie back on my YouTube channel. Angie in the flesh. Karibu sana.
Asante, thank you for inviting me again.
I'm so happy that you're here. I'm sure everyone else, when they see you, are going to be excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
All right.
Yeah.
So today we are going to be answering some questions, some commonly asked questions in my DM. So the very first question is someone who is asking about they want to help their brother in their job application for one reason or the other. And I think I normally get this question a lot. So sometimes there's a job advert, then someone applies on behalf of their brother or their sister or their cousin. What do you think about that?
Applying on their behalf, why can't the brother or the sister apply already? I think that's an initiative issue. Like
Right.
if somebody is already not being able to apply, because I think it's different. I mean, sometimes people will say, oh, this job really looks good for my sister. And it's fine because maybe it's like, okay, you're going to share the poster with them or you're going to share the advertisement. That's fine. Or maybe you want to sponsor them to get a CV revamp or that's okay. But in terms of making the actual application, I feel like if the person doesn't already have ownership at the beginning, like what's to say that they will show up for the interview or they will actually be able to do the job. And sometimes, people can exaggerate, You'll be
Right.
like, yeah, I know this person who can do, and they can't. They actually can't do
Yeah.
that thing. And then also, I think it's very ambiguous in terms of making the application for them. Like, does that mean you're going to send in the application from your email address or are you going to partner with them? Like, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. So like for me, no. Like it's a big no. And sometimes you might think you're helping someone, but what you're actually doing is decreasing the chances that the hiring manager or recruiter is going to call this person back. Because already zero initiative. In fact, like maybe the best that you can do is apply from their email address.
Exactly.
But at the point when you say that you're applying on behalf of someone, it's a no.
Yeah.
It's a no.
Yeah, because if it's a virtual or digital application, there's no reason why this person, no matter wherever they are, even if they're so busy, they can send from their email address. So if I get an email address from Joanne and then in the email it says, please receive the application on behalf of my sister Angela.
No.
No.
Yeah, and sometimes I get messages like my relative, my cousin or my sister, they're trying to look for a job and they can't find a job, so I'm doing it on behalf. Still a no.
No.
And let's talk a little bit about why is it that so many job seekers are not serious in their job applications? We keep getting CVs, no email body, no subject. The attachment is in words, in word format sometimes, because you see word normally distorts. You
Yeah.
need to PDF the
Yeah.
document.
Yeah.
I don't know what are some of the ridiculous things that you have seen.
I think the biggest one first, like let's even start with that one of somebody sending on your behalf. Why are they sending on your behalf?
Yeah.
If you have an email address, because usually most of the jobs nowadays require some sort of level of IT understanding.
Exactly.
So if already you can't send an email,
It's
that's
done.
a problem. If you can't compose an email, so
Yeah.
like when people send, you just attached your CV and you're forwarding it, and then the worst is when they have already sent that same application to another company or to
and
another
it's
hiring
not
manager,
deleted.
and then maybe they got feedback. Now they just forwarded it to you. So it's like, I'm
You've
like,
not
excuse me, you've not
deleted.
deleted the rest.
Exactly.
There's nothing. You've not introduced yourself. You're not, just decorum. The same way you wouldn't walk into someone's house and just go to their kitchen. Like, can you please knock, which is, write the proper title in the email, and then the email address you're using. James the party guy.
Sexygirl@gmail.com.
Or the email address doesn't have your actual name.
Yeah.
It's your nickname, the one that your friends know.
It's like you're Angie, but then your email address is
Mary.
Nelly at
Yeah.
Wairimo.
I mean, how? Like, what's happened? Because I know some people, like, it might be a situation where you're doing it from a cyber cafe. Even then, please, can you ask them to help you set up an email address?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, things like that. And then sometimes even your CV or your cover letter is not customized to the job you're applying for. So maybe you applied for an IT role somewhere, now you're applying for something in comms, you just send the same CV,
Yeah.
and it's just a lack of seriousness. And even maybe the broken English, I think I'd shared with you that WhatsApp message,
Right.
where you just send a message just because maybe I have direct access to Angie or Joanne and they're the
Yeah.
ones who are hiring. Let me just send a DM with like, hey, what's the salo?
Yeah.
Not even
Actually, let me
salary.
read it out. Hi, Joe. Job salary ni how much? Ata sini, N. Job salary, N, how much? Working hours, lab tech. Honestly, how do we proceed? Please tell me.
You know, there's when I'm doing trainings for like people who have just finished campus, one of the first things I tell them is that nobody owes you anything. And just because you've gone to school, just because you have qualifications, you have a degree, nobody owes you anything.
Even
Because
if
it
it's
was
a
not
first
a
class.
it doesn't matter. Nobody owes you anything. So you must show up every single time like, my goodness, I have the opportunity to speak to a hiring manager. Let me bring my A game. It doesn't matter if this hiring manager has dealt with me before or hasn't. Like, I need to be, like top tier, like bringing my A game. This business of like just half-baked things, or you feel entitled because you got first class, nobody owes you anything. Did we changa together? Were we together? No. Did we sponsor you to send you to school? And even sometimes that attitude of what do you call it, entitled attitude, even your own family members don't want to hire you because of that attitude, because you're going to ruin their business for them. So how much more people who don't know you? Like there needs to be some sort of seriousness and some sort of like responsibility. Like, show up as if you actually want the job, as if you're not the only one applying, because sometimes people think like we're only getting one application or two applications. Not to imagine that sometimes you sit through like 300, 400 applications, and the slightest thing will put you off somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that you're saying it's an attitude problem.
Yeah.
There are so many job seekers. You get about 300 applications, and out of the 300, you can only deal with 10 people.
Yeah.
And that's so sad.
Yeah.
So that then, as people are saying there are no jobs, it's not that there are no jobs. You're not serious with your job application.
Yeah.
And we're not even talking about the CV.
Yeah, not even. Yeah.
We've not even reached the CV.
Yeah. Or even sending the application late. The deadline was Monday. Now you send it 2 weeks later. Or even just 2 days later. Like, oh, please forgive me. I didn't see the... No, you're not serious.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
It's not possible. So I think there's a lot of unseriousness when it comes to job applications.
For sure.
In terms of, even let's not even talk about the CV first. When you're sending your email, have you put an email body? Is there a subject? Have you attached the CV? When they've asked for a CV and a cover letter, have you actually attached a CV and a cover letter? Is that CV tailored for that particular job that you're applying to, so that then you're not applying for a finance job and your CV is a procurement CV? Have you sent it to the right email address? Because there are also people who, the reason why we've not received your CV is because you did not put the right email.
Or instead of using the email that's been put on the application, I figure out Joanne works in that company. I send my application to Joanne.
Right.
So Joanne can pass it to the HR manager.
Right.
Or whatever it is. I mean, that's not appropriate. It's not proper.
It's not.
It's not proper.
Yeah. Or Angie has posted a job on her stories. Instead of sending the application to the actual company, you send Angie your CV. Surely, guys, honestly.
Every single week. Every week.
No.
Or you respond with, I'm interested.
Or hi Angie.
Work with the hiring manager. Work with the person who is recruiting. Just give them a reason to want to have a conversation with you.
Right. And I think one of these days, Angie will just talk purely on job application etiquette. Only.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, you cannot apply on behalf of someone. What you do, you're decreasing the chances that the hiring manager or the recruiter is going to take that person seriously. So do not apply on behalf of someone, and ensure that you do not let someone else apply on behalf of you.
Yeah. Can I just add something there? Because I remember was it last year or the year before, somebody asked me if I could do an online like test, like these psychometric tests on their behalf. Or then they asked, can they do it for somebody else? And I was like, no, that is dishonest. I mean, just, I feel like we should just put it out there that's even in terms of making applications for people, taking tests on behalf of people is dishonest, is wrong.
It's
because
cheating.
Exactly, it's cheating. And not only that, you might appear one way because these psychometric tests, I mean, you have a background in psychology. These tests are designed to be able to pick out certain things in your personality, your strengths, etc. So now you are a different person to the person who is applying for the job. So now you test in a particular way, and then the person comes in for the role for an interview, and you're like, is this the same person? Yeah, so let's just throw that out there, that is wrong and shouldn't be done, because you will actually disadvantage the actual candidate.
Right. And actually, the psychometric assessments, there are no right or wrong answers. You might have someone do the test on your behalf and actually end up failing. And maybe they just want the sanguine you, or the melancholy you, or the phlegmatic you. So do not be afraid of taking those online assessments, because there are no right or wrong answers. They just want to test who are you,
Exactly. Yeah.
And then the next question, I think I get this question also 25 times in a week. Hi Joanne, can I apply for jobs when I'm pregnant?
Yes. That's the answer. Just yes. Just yes. The answer is yes. Yes, the answer is yes. You can apply for jobs anytime you want. I mean, unless of course you can't show up for the job, but you can apply. I mean, like my dad is a gynecologist. He always says pregnancy is not a disease. Okay, it's not a disease. You can do the job, so you can apply for the job. You just have to be aware of some of the added challenges that might come your way because of being pregnant. You have to be ready to answer and respond to some of the things. You want to have like a support system around you to make sure that you can actually make this transition, because pregnancy it's not a disease, yes, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and so sometimes you might not want to have a lot going on internally and physically and with your whole family dynamic, and then also be changing jobs, so that could also be something to consider. But it's not, you can apply for the job, yes, and you can still get jobs. There are people who get jobs when they're pregnant. And then it's also just thinking, you just need to think a lot more. There are a lot more dynamics and factors that you need to consider, but it is possible. And if you've thought through it and you have planned well, then there's no reason why not.
Right. I'm always completely shocked by the number of women who think it's impossible to apply for a job when you're pregnant. So you've just found out you're pregnant, and then you go into panic mode. I cannot apply for a job. Some even ask me, should I state it on my cover letter that I'm expecting? And there's this notion that number one, it's like immediately you get pregnant, there's absolutely no way anyone can hire you. I don't even know where that thing came from. Number two, you automatically believe when you go for an interview, because then sometimes it's even in the first trimester, you're not even showing. Already you're so scared of even taking a psychometric assessment. And my thing is, you've not even gone through the interview. It's just sending your CV first. Send in your CV and your cover letter and first see whether they're going to call you back. But you cannot say you're not going to even send your CV because you're expecting. You can't say I will not attend the interview because I'm expecting, because again, you can go for that interview and get the job or not get the job.
Exactly.
So send in your application, send in your CV, send in your cover letter, go for the interview. And then at the point when you're offered an offer, because then a CV is not going to guarantee that you're going to get the interview.
Exactly.
Doing the interview does not guarantee that you're going to get the job. So the first thing is get the job offer first. Then at that point, then you can decide, do I want to take this job? And then also decide, do I want to disclose that I'm expecting? Because again, you don't want to join this organization and then you're having to, go for maternity leave. Because at that point you'll have to say, Mimba haezi fichika.
Exactly.
You cannot hide.
Eventually, it will be out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to disclose. But at the end of the day, there are so many people who've been hired. In fact, I know of so many people who've been hired. You're going to deliver tomorrow, or you're in your last week, and companies
they just want to secure you. They just want you in their company.
Exactly. Not just one woman, many women. So let it not be that you're not going to apply for jobs because you're expecting. You don't have to disclose on your cover letter or your CV.
Please.
Oh, by the way,
or even in the first meeting, first conversation. No,
you come in for the interview. Hi, Angie. We are glad that you're here.
Thank you. I'm pregnant. And the worst part is, the more you think about something, you know how it will just come out of your mouth. You didn't even plan to say it, and now it's just out. And then you're just like, why did I say that? Yeah, because you're obsessing about it. No,
and it's not.
Yeah,
they probably don't even care. They're going to give you the job anyway, because so many. I think also job seekers, one thing they don't understand is the hiring managers and recruiters, we are so desperate for good talent.
Exactly.
We do not care whether you are pregnant, whether, where you went to high school. We don't care. We just want good talent. Can you do what we want to hire you for?
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
These other things we can work around. And there are so many people who've done it successfully. So to answer your question, please go ahead and apply for jobs, even if you're 8 months pregnant. Because also sometimes people hire you and then your work is going to start in 6 months.
Yeah.
Some job applications take, the recruitment process takes even 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
You'll have gone and given birth and nursed your baby and then like gotten an offer.
Yeah.
So do not refuse to apply for jobs just because you're pregnant. Please, you're doing yourself
a disservice.
Completely.
And I think it's also part of like a bigger conversation. And you know, sometimes it's like with the pregnancy or something else. But sometimes I think that people don't understand the value that they have. You see, it's a whole value conversation. So if you don't feel or believe you have value that you're actually offering, then you feel like, okay, this small thing is going to, no, it's not a small thing, it's a whole baby, but it's this one thing is going to take away from everything else. Because I tell people, because even if you get a job when you're pregnant, in the 3 months you have there, the 4-5 months, then you deliver that value, you know, show them that you're actually good, you know, because you're not going, you know, when people ask you things like, you know, usually of course there's these issues of discrimination, like people will ask you, you know, are you married, are you, you know, whatever your age is or your race or your, I tell them that's a non-conversation starter, you know, just tell people I'm not going to talk about that because I'm here because of the value I bring. And like you said, hiring managers, we're just looking for, do you have the value that we're looking for? And so if you're confident that you have that value, then this thing about even being pregnant or the fact that I don't know, whatever else circumstance you find yourself in, because sometimes somebody will be like, oh, but I got a C minus in high school, but you have a master's degree, but you're still just going around with the, oh, I got a C minus. No, excuse me, move on past that. Recognize what value you're actually bringing and let that be the thing that speaks for you, so that these other things are like, yeah, I'm pregnant. Even if somebody wants to sort of, because sometimes you'll find recruitment panels where there's somebody shady who is there busy being distracted by the fact you're pregnant. No, you just take the conversation back to, this is the value I'm bringing. This is what I've done in the past. This is what I see I can bring to this role. Right. And therefore, like, we keep the conversation around the value that you're bringing. So you need to also understand as the applicant that, you know, you have value. Understand your value. So that even in conversations, you're not sort of feeling like, oh my God, they're doing me such a favor by giving me an interview. No. You go into that interview knowing the value that you bring, and then being able to negotiate. You're not going to get an offer that's lower than the value that you're bringing, because you know what value you're bringing. So if they want to give you a low offer because you're pregnant, you can walk away from it, you know, so you're not just taking anything that is thrown at you just because you're pregnant. Yeah.
I really love that. It's a value thing. And let me just say, it's true that there are many employers who've refused to hire women who are pregnant.
Yeah.
It's true that sometimes women have gotten fired just because, you know, they are pregnant. It's true that sometimes women have like, you know, your boss passes you over for a promotion because now you are going to give birth and they give the number 2 and then they'll give you when you come back. That is actually true. But just because it happened to Nani or just because it happened to so and so does not mean that is going to be your story.
Yeah.
So you as Angie is saying, you need to think about, what is my value? What am I bringing to this organization? And even when you go for the interview, let the conversation be around the value that you're bringing and not your pregnancy. So that the conversation is, you know, you know, 8 months pregnant, I'll be taking maternity leave on this month, but this is the plan that I have in terms of how work is going to be done during that transition.
Exactly.
Already you're already training someone. Already you're thinking about the employer, because then it's going to be unfair if you're not thinking about the employer.
Yeah.
You're going to say the contract, come and do your job and then
disappear.
No, that's also now a problem.
Yeah.
So if you know what your value is, you have a plan, you know how you're going to transition, then there's no issue at all. And then also pregnancies are different. The people who work until the last day.
Yeah.
So also you need to know yourself and how your pregnancies have been. If you've been pregnant before, then you're able to plan.
Exactly.
And, you know, you're able to navigate that situation. But moral of the story, do not let the fact that you're pregnant stop you from making job applications.
Exactly.
Then the next question is actually something that you've mentioned. The other question I get asked a lot, Joanne, can I get a job and I had a second class lower? Angie, please help.
Have you seen CVs where somebody puts their grade for KCPE? Like, they'll even put KCPE, they got XX marks. I'm like, this person has missed the boat.
Missed the
You know, like
point.
it's not about grades. It's really like in the grand scheme of things, like even now when you think about a particular test you did here and there, it's really not a grade issue. It's not a grade issue. There are people who get A's and first class honors, but they cheated. They, you know, they did something with the system, or, you know, they got more Kenyas and they got A's, but they can do nothing. They actually can do nothing. You know, and that's why you have people who will never rise in their careers. It could be a motivation issue, but sometimes it's also that they're just not good at that particular field. So it's not a grade issue. You know, we don't hire grades. We don't hire people for grades, really, genuinely. And I mean, you can testify about that. You know, we don't hire based on grades. We hire based on, are you a good fit? Are you able to do the job? Do you have good, good organizational fit, but do you have talent productivity in terms of, are you able to actually execute at this task? Is there evidence that you have learned these things or you have experience in these things? So, I mean, similar to the whole thing about pregnancy, your second class lower or whatever it is should not be a thing that should keep you from applying for jobs, should not keep you from, you know, because some people, it's not even second class lower. It's the fact that they went to this particular university. Yeah, my university is one of the lower kinds. But did you learn the thing?
Care.
Yeah, we don't care. We actually do not care. You know that TikTok sound? Yeah, we do not care. Can you do the job? Is there evidence that you can do it? Can you show us that you understand what this role entails and that you can deliver on this role? You know, either based on past experience or based on the training that you have gotten. Because usually that again now affects your self-esteem and how you show up in the interview, you know, because then you show up at the interview like, hey, I can't believe they've given me a chance with my second class lower, or, you know, that I just got a pass, you know, or just a credit. I can't believe they have. No, you are there legitimately. Unless you've bribed your way into the interview, then you're there legitimately and you need to show them why. There are people who, though, especially people who have just graduated, they'll say, but, you know, I failed this particular course. Maybe I had to do a supplementary or something. Like, what will I say to interviewers? And I say, explain what happened. You know, even before they bring it up, you explain. Tell them, you know, I'm not a really good tester, but, or maybe the first time round, something happened with my family. Because sometimes life happens. And maybe you had a loss in the family or something happened extraordinary that made you fail, or maybe you didn't understand it, or you didn't have a good relationship with the lecturer, whatever it is, you know, explain, because there are people are hiring people. So explain, this is what happened, and, you know, but I was able to do it a second time over and I passed. Yeah, because some people are usually like, no, but they'll see that I did, you know, my Form 4 twice, or that I did, you know, first year twice. Explain that, you know, the first time it was difficult, or I wasn't serious in first year, but now, you know, I realized that I need to actually focus in my studies, and I did it again. Like, that's honorable. That's honorable. Like, I can respect somebody like that who says that, you know, I wasn't serious, but now my head is on right. Yeah.
It's actually, I find it very sad because, and I'm not lying, actually, every month, I think 25 people in my DM, Joanne, can I get a job? I got a second class law. Can I get a job? So the first thing I want to say actually is that there are so many people who I've met who, like in high school, got A's and got first class honors, and they're still not where they need to be.
Yeah.
So you with your second class lower, it really does not matter. The grade doesn't matter. And when someone comes in for an interview, what is most important is things like communication skills.
Yeah.
Are you confident? Would you test highly in terms of emotional intelligence? Even not, you know, the actual IQ first. It's first confidence and emotional intelligence. And are you a good communicator? And can you articulate yourself properly? Do you show that you understood the job description? Are you someone who is communicating seriousness? Even before I look at your grade, I want to see all these other things. When you come in, are you warm? Are you greeting us? Are you looking us in the eye?
Are you on time?
Are you dressed well?
Yeah.
Those are the things that are going to get you hired. Not whether you got an A or a B or a first class honors or a second class law. It does not matter. And I know there are so many people, you know, you're not even going to do your CV because you got a second class lower.
Yeah.
Someone with a pass is going to get the job that you deserve just because they believe in themselves, you know, better than you. And it's so sad that even there are people with first class honors, because of imposter syndrome, they're not even them, they're not applying for jobs.
Yeah.
So it's this toxic cycle. And the only problem is that you do not believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You got a first class honors, you don't believe in yourself. You got a lower, you don't believe in yourself. Now, people who got passes, they're the ones who have a lot of confidence in themselves.
Exactly.
And they're the ones who are getting...
Because I think most of motivational speech is towards them. You can do it. You can do it. So they spend time there. These other ones, they're just like, hey, okay. but I think it's also just a whole societal thing, because in
Yeah.
society we really celebrate, being number one, being number two. Those are the things that are celebrated. But I think it's part of obviously a bigger conversation. But really, the fact that it's already something to celebrate. The fact that you're able to finish a university degree, or whether it's a technical training that you have, the fact that you have gotten to where you've gotten, that's something to celebrate, and that's something that you can show up with confidence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So please, it does not matter if you went to Kisii University. It doesn't matter if you went to MKU, Nairobi Polytechnic, Kisii University. It doesn't matter. Are you able to curate a good CV? Because then the CV is what is going to land you an interview. The purpose of a CV is to land you an interview only. The purpose of an interview is to land you an offer. So please, land the interview first, land the offer first. And the only way you can do that is if you have a good CV. I know many of us, the reason why we are not interested in doing a CV is because I got a second class lower. I don't know what grade in high school. No one is going to hire me. I got an F. Actually, but I have Fs in my
Imagine, and she's here.
wow, like university.
Yeah.
Because then there are two subjects I did not finish. So they actually put for me Fs. I retook them the next semester. But yeah, I have Fs. Does that make me not do a fabulous CV? Absolutely not.
No.
You can do an excellent CV and the only thing that you have is a diploma. So don't be your own worst enemy in terms of the job applications.
Exactly. And even if you just have your high school certificate, just put your best foot forward, because really, even these subjects that you have, whether it's A, B, C, you've gotten an F, or you just didn't complete something, all that you learn in school is you learn theory, but you have to, in an interview, now you communicate, I actually know how to apply these things.
Right.
Because when you learn in school, it's a very utopian sort of, you think that, okay, people will send in their CVs, you'll be able to just, if we talk about recruitment and selection, when you learn it in school, it's like there's a very clean cut way of how you recruit people. But in the real world, it's very different. It's very different, There are different things you look at. Sometimes you don't find the exact qualifications that you're looking for, you're hiring for. And so you have to adapt. Those are things you've not learned in school.
Right.
So really, it's not about the grade. It's about, based on what you have learned, what can you do with that? Do you know how to apply it? Do you know how maybe you know 20 things? Do you know which 3 things are required for this particular situation? Do you know that's what we're looking for? That's what we're looking for, as opposed to a grade, which shows us that you can study well and test well.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you come in for the interview, we are testing, are you someone who is innovative? Are you can you solve problems? Can you think outside of the box? Are you able to come up with solutions?
Yeah.
Now, if you're just someone who crams and produces things, it's not going to work.
Exactly.
And you see, for you to be like a problem solver or a critical thinker or someone who thinks outside of the box or someone who's innovative, we don't need a degree.
Yeah.
Actually, even with the high school diploma, that's even enough.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the next question, I wanted to ask, is it a good idea to do a PowerPoint presentation during an interview?
It depends. Well, if they ask you for a PowerPoint presentation, please prepare it. That's number one. Because I've had people ask me that, they asked me to come with a presentation. Should I prepare? Yes, that's why they asked you to prepare it. So that's number one. But number two, it depends on the kind of, how much time you're going to have, what kind of interview it is, what kind of role it is. I think it's unusual, but if really that's the best way you can express yourself, and it's really, so let's say you're taking like a marketing role or a strategy role, then maybe that could be useful, because you can be able to show graphs and things of maybe projections that you have maybe for the role, like what you'll be doing in that particular role. But I think for a regular interview, maybe not. It might just, number one, maybe they don't have the setup or the layout for you to be able to do the PowerPoint presentation. If you're going to come with a projector, that's fine. But if not, if it's just going to be your laptop and we're all just like trying to squint to try and see what it is you've put there, and sometimes it can be very distracting. So I think maybe if it's a series of interviews, then maybe you can eventually, because maybe you need to demonstrate something. But I think for the very first interview, it's you we're trying to learn from. It's you we're trying to gauge. We're trying to figure out what kind of person you are. Are we gelling? Are we flowing together? I think a PowerPoint might be a bit of an overkill, especially if it's not a role where you have to demonstrate growth you're going to be bringing immediately, and numbers and things like that. Yeah.
Depolo also asked me, and I think you mentioned a little bit at the beginning, that so when you ask for an interview, the people who feel like this organization just wants to steal my ideas, and so they end up not doing it 100%. And for me, I normally don't find it clever, because then, I mean, if you share an idea with them and they take it, that does not, I've not lost anything.
Yeah.
But then if if I could actually give this thing my best, and I'm going to get hired for it, I think it's worth the risk. I don't know what you think.
I think maybe, I mean, I know a number of organizations that, are notorious for this kind of behavior. I think it starts on you as the applicant. If you know this organization does that, like, is it a place you want to work? First and foremost, just do your research on the organization. If you've had like the last maybe 10 people who have gone there, have gone through the same exact thing and have their ideas have been poached or whatever, and they have not hired them, is that a place you want to work? So I mean, don't think that you're going to be the exception to the rule in that particular case. But if it's an organization that you really want to work for, and maybe it's only one or two things you've heard, I think give your best. Give your best. You might not maybe necessarily give all the details of everything in your idea pod. Sort of like, don't give 6 ideas that you could possibly do all these 6, and then they take all 6 and run with them. Maybe give one and give it like really, really well, a really, really good presentation. And then you can leave out some key things where you say, I look forward to being able to give more detail. Once I'm in this role, I look forward to being able to discuss specifics in terms of stakeholders that I've thought about in this maybe business venture or business proposal. So I think that would be my idea. I think it's also give that 100%, but do your research on the employer first, because there are some people not treating people so well, and we know them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's actually possible that you can go give your presentation and they steal it, and then tomorrow you hear, they've executed your idea.
What do you think about? It's just come to my mind now. Like, what do you think about the same way an organization would have a non-disclosure with an employee? Like, what do you think about, like, in terms of these pitchings? If you as the candidate now have like a non-disclosure in that
I love
way,
it. That's so clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, some things are like, this is my actual idea, my brainchild. Like, I could do it myself, but now I'm offering it to you guys. Yeah.
I love that idea. It's genius. So you actually go with your own NDA and tell them, I'm happy to present, but hey, guys.
Yeah. You can't go and launch this in the next 6 to 12 months. Yeah.
Or even indefinitely.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe some legal mind can tell us. Yeah.
All right. So this other person, I'm a team leader in company X. There's a supervisor who has resigned, and I'm being told to take up the role, but the employer does not want to do it formally. Do I insist on a formal communication, including some increment, or do I take up the role, hoping they will do, quote unquote, do something in future? As they say, the role comes with more responsibilities.
No, do not. No. The latter, no, don't do that. Human beings are so flimsy. So even the best ones are very flimsy. The Bible says that the human heart is wicked above all things. I don't care how many people say that human beings are just innately good. No. Even the best people can have bad days, can change their minds. And this is going to cost you your reputation, your career development, all those things. So I would say, make sure it's on it's in paper, it's in writing. Even it doesn't even have to be like they're giving you a new contract. Let there be email communication, because that's evidence enough, so let them write you an email officially offering you this particular role, or officially increasing your responsibilities. And when you're speaking to your employer, what you can do is ask the employer, I'm really honored that you'd give me this extra responsibility. I think it's going to help my career development. Is it possible for you to give me some formal communication or writing towards that effect? And you don't even have to tell them it's because you want to be able to maybe leverage in the future or get paid more, but it also helps protect you, because if something happens, if you're acting CEO, and then you make a decision and then something goes wrong, they'll just be like, look at this junior employee who was, bringing themselves up to this position and they overstepped. But it protects you, it protects the organization. If there is some sort of evidence or trail that you have actually been delegated these responsibilities, it also helps with the rest of the team being able to respect you. Because some people who were previously at the same level as you now will be answering to you. You can't just go and demand your contemporaries to now be answering to you. There needs to be some sort of communication. So as you talk to your employer, mention those kinds of things, things in which shows that it's in the best interest of the organization for them to give you that documentation. And then I think the thing is, remember, your employer is your employer, your home life is your home life, right? This person, even if you could be friendly with them, but at the end of the day, you're there to do a job. You're providing a service. You need to be remunerated for that service, because that increased responsibility might mean extra hours. That means those are hours you could have been doing something else, even just sleeping. You could have been sleeping or spending time with your family or resting or doing whatever else it is. How are you being compensated for that extra time? It might not even be extra hours at work, but it could be extra brain time. Now I have to think not just of my team of 4, I have to think about 12 people. Like, that's extra stuff I'm putting in. That needs to be compensated. And if they actually value you as an employee, then they will pay you more because somebody else was being paid for. But also don't be afraid to say no. Yeah, if you realize that you're going to be exploited in some way, and there's nothing in writing, even if they say they're going to add you more money, let it be in writing, so that if they say they're going to give you more money in 3 months after probation, in 3 months, let's be able to see that, but 3 months from now, that person who is promising you that pay might have moved to another company, or they might have changed their mind, or you might have a falling out, and then you'll just be there, standing there, having done all the work, salty, and there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah.
And actually, there are so many cases where people have gotten exploited.
So many.
Taken on additional responsibilities. So you are doing your boss's work with no title, no job increment, and you're just there.
Yeah.
Being bitter, being tired. And I like the points that you have raised. The issue I see this person facing would now be, how they when and how they do the communication. Because true, they have to get an increment and it needs to be in writing, but then how do they communicate? Because then there are people who will say, hey, I'm going to take the job, but where's the money? That's the first thing that you say.
Yeah.
So you see, then it can come out like not very well, or you've been offered and you don't even say thank you. The first thing that you say, you have to give me another title. You have to give me this money. You have to do all these things. So there's a way they can construct an email, saying thank you so much. I feel so honored that you have thought about me, in regards to this position. And I'm happy, to take this on. Can we set up a meeting?
Yeah.
Probably. If not, that then they ensure they put it in writing that, number one, they need to, the organization needs to give them a new role. It does not even have to be immediately. But when I say not immediately, not now after 6 months.
Yeah.
Also, give your company time to be able to adjust, maybe do a new contract. And then it also shows that, you're happy about the role, but then you're,
accommodating.
Things. So you can say in the next maybe 2 weeks, it would be good if you give me a formal contract. I'm also happy after I have adjusted into the role, could we not talk about an increment, but then give very specific dates and ensure when that time comes, you're following up on the contract, so that then you're not doing additional work without any any form of increment. And then of course, as you have said, if they cannot increase, then there's no point of taking the job.
Taking the job. And sometimes they might not give you a new title, and I know some people really get so fixated on titles, but if it's in writing, because then in writing you can have evidence that this is your role, so in some, depending on the size of the company and different things, there might be, how in one organization you can be the HR manager and all you're handling is payroll. But in another company, you're HR manager, but you're handling everything, And so based on just the content in terms of what your new job description will have and your contract will have, you can be able to use that to leverage going forward. So let it not be a hard and fast line of, I have to get a new title, otherwise I'm not taking the opportunity. Because I think more important is it in writing that you're doing these extra things, and are they compensating you for those extra responsibilities?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So guys, that's all that we had for today. I hope this session has been beneficial. Angie, do you have some parting shots?
I think my parting shot has to do with the questions we asked. We talked about the pregnancy and the grades in school. I think it's so important. Everybody, there's no one you will meet who doesn't have a thing they wish they could change about their education or their career. You know, maybe a time where you took a lower paying job and it sort of messed you up. There's always something that you can sort of point to and be like, oh, okay, because of this, I can't step up. I can't do this other thing. But I think the important thing is to realize everybody's on that journey. You need to move past it. Yes, you didn't get the grade you wanted. Move past it. Yes, you're pregnant at a time in your career maybe that you didn't feel like you wanted to be pregnant, or whatever the thing is, whatever the challenge is that is keeping you from pursuing those opportunities. Move past those things, because everyone has a thing. You know, understand what your value is and go for it. You know, the opportunities are there. Yeah.
For me, actually, my parting shot is something that you have said about value. Just think about what your value is. It does not matter which university, what grade, whether you're pregnant or you even have a disability. All those things don't matter. What is your value? And are you thinking about yourself as a value creating entity? And are you able to package that value in a way that
So good.
an employer can, can understand? So how have you packaged yourself in terms of your CV, your cover letter, your LinkedIn profile? We are living in times where everything is online.
Yeah.
When you're sending an application, most times it's not going to be word of mouth. You'll need to send in a CV. So even if you have all this value and you're this value creating entity and there's all these things that you can do, if you have a shoddy CV, if you just forward a CV, if you send your CV and no attachment, no email body, no subject, no one is going to hire you. So think about yourself as a value creating entity. Think about your value and present that in a way that can attract hiring managers and employers. That's all that we had for today. I hope this video has been beneficial. Thank you and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.